this is Maddie. What's up?
Yeah.
Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Maddie Michelson. I am an IFBB Bikini Pro, and I am a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. We are a lifestyle and a contest prep team, but with a functional twist. If you guys are interested in one-on-one coaching with myself or one of our other incredible practitioners, the link is always down below to set up a discovery call with us. Set up a one-on-one discovery call and we'll chat and get to know you and your goals and see if it could be a good fit. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this week's video. Last week, or maybe it was the week before, last week I posted my vlog. I had one of my very own athletes come and visit me here in St. Petersburg. It is hurricaning outside. I don't know if you guys can see how bad the weather is, but we literally have a hurricane. I think her name is like Helen coming through. Fun fact about me, born and raised in Florida, I've never seen snow, so very used to the hurricanes. Life goes on. I got up this morning. I planned my rest day for today because our gym's closed. And I went grocery shopping. I got new flowers for the apartment. But this week is a Q&A. So you guys had posted some questions over on my Instagram, and I wanted to answer all of your questions for you this week in a fun little one-off video for you. So question number one was tips on nailing a reverse diet. I have a few videos on this as I've been reversing previously out of numerous shows. I think that there's quite a few things that help me personally to nail my reverse. Number one is anchoring yourself into something that's coming up in the future. I have some athletes right now where we have intentionally planned for like a photo shoot for them a few weeks into their reverse so that they stay consistent, because you want to look good for your photo shoot. Also, you can plan something like a vacation for say 8 weeks after your reverse. This is a lot of times really beneficial because it can kind of pause it in your head like, ooh, I got to keep things buttoned up. I want to look good and feel good on vacation, and that's my reward. The other thing, point blank, ladies, if you are reversing, don't hoard snacks. Don't get snacks in the house. Don't get things in the house that's going to cause you to need to find discipline that simply is going to be non-existent. She ain't going to be in the chat box or in the chat room anymore. When you finish a show, it's so hard to find discipline like the discipline that you may have had preparing for your show, right? There's no stage date in sight, and you're probably telling yourself, oh yeah, well, I'll just have one chocolate chip. Who has one chocolate chip, right? Don't make it a requirement to need to find this source of discipline. Tell yourself, no, I'm in prep for 6 more weeks. Immediately post-show, especially if you're traveling, place an Instacart order. Have the foods that you ate in prep at your doorstep, in your pantry, in your fridge, and nothing else. Talk to your coach beforehand. Like, I get on a call with my athletes usually Monday after their show, sometimes even on Sunday. Sunday, we're usually communicating throughout the day. We're talking periodically throughout the day about how they're feeling. Make sure that you have this constant line of communication going with your coaches, because reversing is far more than physical and far more than merely having a plan. Because the number of times that I have seen and heard and even experienced a plan not planning or going as planned, more often than not. So it's really, really important that you are leveraging that same self-awareness that you have in a prep, post-show. Get something to anchor yourself into. Get some foods get all your foods really that you ate during prep, so that you don't even need to find that discipline that is non-existent and nowhere to be found post-show. Okay, so one of the other questions that I had received was, how do you know if it's better to increase carbs or to increase fats? And my answer to that question is, it depends on the person, okay? So I have some athletes who are dealing with gut dysbiosis. A lot of times bad gut bacteria, things like candida and yeast, are going to feed on carbohydrates. So we want to increase fats. Now, I also tend to find that with masters athletes, they do really, really well in preps with higher fats and also higher protein. So sometimes it can be more of a hormonal / age thing. Conversely, it can be scientific as well. You know, I have a lot of athletes, especially high level athletes, testing blood glucose. If I have someone who really, really struggles to manage and balance their blood glucose, I'm seeing their fasted and their postprandial numbers, even with a glucose disposal agent and maybe some SCRMs leveraged in there, not SARMs, SCRMs, they're different. SCRMs are selective kinase reuptake. Selective kinase reuptake modulators. Even if we're leveraging SCRMs and I see that their postprandial numbers are not coming back down to their fasted numbers, they may need more fats in their diet, right? We also know that depending on carb selection and what carbs you're choosing, it may be more advantageous to bring up fats for someone who's struggling with satiety. If you're somebody who feels extremely hungry, I know a lot of girls that I'll be working with and in their off season, we have no choice because we need food to get so high, then to bring carbs up to say 300 or sometimes even higher than that. And you know, they're super, super full. So we've got to add in some fats in order to not only stabilize blood sugar, super important for hormonal balance, but also to keep them satiated and to incorporate, sorry, there's a hurricane going on and I'm seeing all these like things flying. It's a little nerve wracking to keep their blood sugar stable, to keep them full. And then also, so they are not incorporating as much volume in their meals, because carbs, even though you can get lower volume, higher calorie carbs like white rice or honey, fats are usually going to be those lower volume, higher calorie foods like oils, nuts, seeds, so on and so forth. So it depends on the person. Sometimes there's a scientific reason for it. Sometimes there's a metabolic reason for it, or sometimes it's merely just emotional. A lot of times I will let our athletes take the lead on things, especially if they've been working with a coach for a long time or they've been competing for a long time. Usually the athlete knows their body well. So there's times where I will take the lead, but I really do emphasize a participative approach with each and every one of our athletes. And I want our athletes to be able to know that they can provide feedback as well. Another one of my questions is, how many times a week do I train abs other than vacuums? The answer to that question is 2. I usually do ab training. I'll do 3 rounds of 3 exercises. Well, right now, I guess it counts as 4. So right now, my ab exercises are ball passes, toe reaches. So I'll like reach my toes and do crunches. And then I will do reverse crunches. I guess I have 4 exercises. And then I will put a stability ball or a like yoga ball in between my calves. And I will do side oblique crunches, but just side to side with the stability, with the yoga ball in between my calves. So I'll do those 4 exercises. I'll do 10 reps of each. And I will do 3 rounds of that twice a week. You really don't need to train your core every single day. I see a lot of girls doing that. And what a lot of girls don't realize is that you don't want a blocky core. If you train your core every day, not only are you going to experience diminishing returns because you're going to be not allowing that muscle to rebuild itself, but you're going to get a blocky stomach. And that's not what we want. We want tiny waists. So I highly encourage training your abs just 2 times a week. It's no different than any other body part. All right, next question. How do you know your metabolism is at a good place? This is such a good question. And the answer is it really depends. Do you guys like my bats? Those are my Halloween bats. Look how cute they are. Your metabolism is at a good spot when you are regularly hungry for food and you're not food focused. You are satiated after your meals and then you're hungry about 3 hours later. Your metabolism is in a good spot when you are maintaining your weight. Your weight is no longer fluctuating like 5 pounds or going up and then continuing to go up or dropping. I usually say that you're at maintenance when your weight has maintained for 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so you really have to give it that time in order to determine if your metabolism is fully at maintenance or at a good spot. I would say your metabolism is at a good place if you are digesting your food well, and you're using the restroom every single day. And I would say that your metabolism is at a good place when you are able to get down a balance of nutrients in a meal. I think that a lot of people have metabolically downregulated themselves when they are consuming like a protein shake in the morning and that's all they're having, or maybe their snack looks like a protein bar and that fills them up, or their meal looks like a protein bar and that fills them up, or they're having like almonds. That's not a meal. So if you're feeling full from those things, you are not metabolically optimized and it's time for a reverse diet. So balanced meals, hungry at regular intervals, not food focused, and weight maintaining itself. Okay, this was a great question that I loved because I am a huge advocate for a balanced diet with plenty of fiber. And that question is, what are my favorite fiber sources? So a lot of you guys know I am a fiend for veggies. I love things like a good old delicata squash that I have right here. So making sure that you're getting appropriate amounts of vegetables in your diet is a great way to make sure that you're getting in proper amounts of fiber. But a lot of women think that you only need about 15 to 20 grams of fiber per day, and that is false, false, false. Fiber is super important for managing your blood glucose, which is important for cortisol levels and hormone levels. Fiber is also extremely crucial for estrogen detox, okay? So as females, our estrogen gets produced really in excess, and fiber is what the estrogen and a lot of other metabolites of hormones bind to in order to be eliminated from the body. So when females are complaining of things like painful cycles or irregular cycles or PMS symptoms that are like very overpowering, or cramps, things like this that just aren't normal, you probably need more fiber in your diet. So we have a really cool functional protocol that we walk a lot of our athletes through that automatically boosts up the diet to about 40 or 50 grams of fiber per day. I personally get in about 50 grams, and this is very easy for me to do. I do this literally effortlessly, but I'll show you some of my favorite fiber sources, and those are gonna be oatmeal. I love oatmeal. Right now I have this particular oatmeal. Give me just a second here. I will find it. Oh. I dropped Jeff's wheat thins. He keeps like food at my house. This organic rolled oats with ancient grains and seeds. It's got rolled oats, amaranth, quinoa, chia, and ground flax. And there is 5 grams of fiber in this. Another one of my favorite sources of fiber is avocados. You can actually blend avocados in smoothies and it makes it super creamy. But flaxseed meal is great. You can throw this in dishes and honestly, you don't even taste it. I make a really good, it's chicken tenders rolled in gluten-free pretzels and flaxseed meal. Great way to get some extra fiber in, and they literally taste like they're pretzel coated chicken. I mean, who doesn't love that? Seeded breads are also a great way to get fiber in. This is just a multi-grain bread from Trader Joe's, but I also love Ezekiel bread. And then last but certainly not least, blackberries. Blackberries and raspberries are the absolute greatest source of fiber if you're looking to get fiber in from fruit sources. All right, so I had another question asked to me, and that was, how do I stay motivated when the discipline just isn't there, especially consistent with training and nutrition? And this is such a jam-packed question that I could probably spend an entire video on. My answer to that is that there really is, the first thing that you must do is you must explore your why, right? If consistency with your training and your nutrition is simply not important to you, that is okay. I personally recently went through a time where consistency with my training has always been important to me. I think I really recognized and realized that only when I was forced to take a step back because of my breast augmentation. But before that, honestly, had I not taken a break, I would probably question if it was important to me because it was just my normal. So I think that sometimes you can almost find that motivation in your consistency by taking a break. Take a training break. Don't go to the gym for a week. The same thing with nutrition. Like, ask yourself, does it really resonate with you right now to be tracking your macros? Because I recently went through a season, I'm in a relationship right now, and it was really, really important to me as I was navigating going to pool parties and making girlfriends here at my new apartment and dating Jeff and all of these things that I took a little break from meticulously tracking all the time. And sometimes this doesn't mean that, especially if you don't have a healthy relationship with food, it may not mean taking all of the parameters off and all of the guardrails off and just completely intuitively eating, because you have to train yourself to eat intuitively, at least properly. But it may mean trying something different. I think that when your motivation is fleeting, and I do talk in a podcast episode, if you haven't already watched the podcast, about how we can't look for motivation. What you need is a why. And then the second thing that you need is, Nike says it best, just to do it. Because motivation is one of those things that's highly correlated with instant gratification, right? And I'm going to allude to an example here that I talked about in the podcast, which is you're coming home from work, you're exhausted, you're beat. The last thing that you want to do is make a meal, but you're hungry, and what you're craving is a steak. And you'll find a way to get to that grocery store and get that steak, even though you're exhausted. And then once you have it, and you've made it and you've eaten it, your motivation to get up and clean the dishes is out the window, right? Because you've gotten what you need out of it. You've gotten the goal, right? So when you reach your weight loss goal, or when you hit that stage, where does the motivation now come from, right? Well, your motivation is tied to something, instant gratification. So kiss motivation goodbye. Find a why. Why is it important to you that you do these things? Sometimes the answer will be, it's not important. And then you need to find a different process or behavior that resonates. I recently had an athlete who was really struggling with consistency, and she was like falling flat on her face with every other coach that she worked with in this process of losing weight. And finally I just said, maybe your goal isn't to lose weight. And she goes, oh my God, it's not. I just want to be strong. I want to have balance. I want to be healthy. We overhauled her whole protocol. She's losing weight now. So sometimes it's about exploring, does this even resonate anymore? Sometimes it's also about not relying on motivation. If you're needing help with that, go check out, I believe it was like episode 4 or 5 of The Psyche Behind the Physique. It will be your key to success there. All right, another question that I got was, this is kind of like a 3-packed question, but it's fun facts about Maddie. One was, do I want to have kids? I do want to have kids. I actually want to have 4. I would love to have 3 boys and a girl if I could decide. And I love, for girl names, I love like hyphenated names like Emma Ray or Mary Kate. I think those are just so sweet. But yeah, we'll see what happens, how the cookie crumbles. Am I naturally blonde? This is funny, you guys. So right now, if I were to grow out my hair, it would be brown. But growing up until I was about 2 or 3 years old, I had blonde ringlets, bright blonde, like this color blonde ringlets, and blue eyes. My whole family's got blue and green eyes, and I got brown. These are as brown as they get. People say all the time they look hazel, but brown. Next little question, someone had asked me, how many days a week do I go to the gym? The answer is 5, okay? So I do 5 days a week. I do 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. And I usually take a rest day on the weekend, and I take 1 rest day midweek to do things like I'm doing now, which is filming for YouTube, filming my podcast, and getting a little bit of ahead for MPowered. Okay, so I absolutely love this question, and someone had asked me, what is my nighttime routine? So I'm gonna show you guys right here. So every single night I take this plug right here. This is my phone charger, and I plug this bad boy in. No more phone, usually as soon as it gets dark. Literally like 8, 9 p.m. It's Jeff and I. We're just hanging out, spending one-on-one intentional time together. It's not only really good for your nervous system. I wake up every single morning without an alarm, like at 6:30 or 7 every day, but it's also really good to just connect with people, okay? I do like to cut off food about 2 to 2.5 hours before bed just to allow my body to fully digest throughout the night, but I do have a Ninja Creamy every single night. I have my little toppings. I am a functional nutritionist, but you guys, I still allow myself to have normal people food because this is what we call balance, and I practice what I preach. Then after that, every single night, I will make myself a little tea. Like this is St. John's wort tea. I'm big on buying organic. These are the Buddha teas. They're unbleached, clean ingredients. I love them. So I'll make myself a little cup of tea and I'll sip that on the couch while I hang out and spend time with Jeff. And then we are now in my bathroom. Every single night I will sit and do a little bit of red light therapy for about 10 minutes. It's extremely good for healing, anti-inflammatory properties. And then I wash my face every night. So I will show you guys my skincare, if you will. So every single night I use this Erno Laszlo detoxifying cleanser. It's linked in my favorites video down below in the description. They came out with a new one, so that's the one that you would want to get. In the morning, I've been using this Tula Skincare Super Calm. It's a milk-based cleanser. And then, whoa, excuse me, to take off my makeup, I use the CeraVe Cream to Foam Cleanser. CeraVe is like the ultimate best cleanser. And then every single night, I use this overnight oral rinse. This one's got, it's chamomile mint flavor. And I believe there's actually chamomile in it. So love that. And then I also have recently got into, I just stocked up and bought a new one today, but I recently got into oil pulling. So this is from Guru Nanda, and it's natural for teeth whitening. It's really good for its antibacterial properties. So yeah, I do a cup of warm tea. I do oil pulling. I do red light therapy. I have gotten into some dry brushing too, but this is probably more like every other night. I'll do some dry brushing after my shower for lymphatic drainage. It makes me feel so good. And oftentimes when I do it, I wake up like a pound lighter in the morning. And then also just before bed, I have been loving lately the Serenity gummies from Cured Nutrition. The aftertaste is meh, but really do love the Serenity gummies. And then I have been taking, I always do magnesium glycinate. This one is from Douglas Laboratories. I like this brand. I'll do 1 to 2 of these. There's 120 milligrams of magnesium glycinate in that. And then also before bed, I will take 1 apigenin. This is from Doublewood Supplements. It's 50 milligrams of apigenin. And I will do 200 milligrams of L-theanine, also from Doublewood. L-theanine is great for quieting your mind and thoughts. But yeah, I'm very, very big on nighttime meditation or pillow talk with your partner. Nighttime teas, no blue light exposure. I don't even mess with blue light glasses. Red light therapy, dry brushing, all the things to take care of you and your nervous system. All right, another question that I got was, how do you choose the right color of suit for your skin tone? I am honestly not the greatest expert on this, but Mary at Toxic Angelz is. And if you guys want to, you can use the code MPowered for, I believe it's 15 or 20% off your competition suits or your practice suits. But word to the wise, if I were you, what I would do is I would look at other competitors and see like girls who have gone to the Olympia that are your skin tone, what colors they are wearing. You will oftentimes find that girls who have my complexion and my hair color are doing aquas and royals. Girls who have dark hair are doing more reds. I see a lot of greens with girls who have dark hair. With girls who are ethnic or darker skin, I will see brighter colors, whether that's purples. I will see lighter blues. I've even seen some pinks as of lately. So hopefully that kind of gets your gears turning, but you definitely want to look at the girls that are placing high at the Olympia. Those kind of set the standard for the next season, even the Arnold. Waist trainer in the off season, yes, yes, and yes. I definitely don't think that it's necessary to waist train as much. I would say wear your waist trainer for 30 minutes to an hour per day, whether that's around the house or when you do your morning steps, or if you still have cardio, which hopefully your cardio is not above 60 minutes a day, or 60 minutes a week. A day, that's insane. Wear your waist trainer. It's really good for just posture, but you can definitely overuse and abuse waist trainers. I've seen girls who have rib issues, and digestive problems is probably more common than anything because of waist trainer overuse. So reminding yourself, your off season is a time to be a little bit more lax, but there are things that you can do, such as waist training, that are going to set you up for success there. Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm just walking around my kitchen. This was supposed to be such a formal video, and it's just not. Another question that I had was, how do you maintain training intensity in the off season when your volume decreases? So I totally get how when you're working in higher volume workouts and exercises, it's really, really easy to train really intensely. But I think that number one, sometimes for a while, going to the gym with a friend, whether it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend, can really help to push you, because you'll kind of push one another. I personally find that even if I'm not posting my workouts, filming my workouts gives me that little kick in the butt that sometimes you need to maintain that intensity. I'm actually posting a workout video this week on questions to ask yourself if you are taking your workout to the appropriate intensity. One of the questions that I oftentimes will ask myself, and this is why I really love the app that I have that I program our athletes' workouts in, and it's because I can program rest breaks. If you are not needing your rest break after your set, you're probably not training hard enough. You should need at least 60 to 90 seconds after each set in order to confirm that you're training hard enough. The other thing, you should feel hungry. In your off season, you should be hungry for your meals if you're training hard enough. Another thing, you should be taking 1 to 2 of your exercises to true failure. And if you're questioning if you're taking them to true failure or not, you're not. True failure means you physically cannot lift the weight up anymore. Physically cannot lift the weight. 2 exercises per workout. I think I had another tip in there too. If it hits me, I'll let you know. But go check out that video on my Instagram at Madsmichiefitness, because I posted some tips in there because this was something that I personally had struggled with too. All right, another question that I was asked is if I could talk a little bit more about the peptides that I was taking. The answer is yes, I absolutely can. However, I'm not taking those peptides anymore. Well, I'm using up what they gave me because unfortunately the government, or FDA, I guess, shut them down. They are a pharmacy. That's what Strive is. But they created secondarily a peptide company. And their peptide company got shut down by the government because the government shuts down a lot of natural... That was annoying. That's the hurricane. What the heck? The government shuts down a lot of natural companies and naturopaths because of their products, because they make money off of pharmaceuticals. But with that being said, my favorite peptide that I'm using right now is BPC 157. That is for healing, tissue regeneration, and also for your gut health. And I've seen tremendous improvements in my gut health. Now, I am an affiliate with a company that is known as Amino Asylum. And I have some peptides here from Amino Asylum right here. And those you can inject. I do book supplement consults on my Calendly, which I will link below if you want to set up a supplement consult and get a full protocol for peptides, how to take them. They are natural amino acids that help your body with things such as tissue regeneration, gut health, mood support. Methylene blue is one of the ones that really helps with mood. But I love certain peptides. I mean, there's peptides for everything: cognition, gut health, muscle growth, fat loss, insulin sensitivity. And I will say, I've been researching whether the oral is absorbed just as well as the injectables. They say the oral can be, but I really feel like if it's injected directly into your bloodstream, it's going to absorb so much better. But I am an affiliate with Amino Asylum. You can use code, I believe it's MPowered, for 20% off at Amino Asylum. So go ahead and head over there, take a look at some of them, but dosages is going to be client dependent and case dependent. And you do want to make sure that you're on the right protocol of things and not just looking stuff up or asking your friend what they took, because that's where people can kind of get screwed up. So book that with my Calendly, and then I'd be happy to set up time and kind of talk with you about your goals and about how peptides could help you. All right, someone had asked me with the new O qualification, or with a new O qualification, am I in a better starting position than I was before? And I believe the context of this was since I've taken time off. And I will say, from a muscularity standpoint, I don't think I am better or worse off. From a mental standpoint, I am definitely a lot better. From a hormonal standpoint, I'm definitely a lot better. You know, I can understand from so many girls and athletes how tempting it is to just keep competing, especially when you're lean. You guys have seen me, this is no secret. I have put on a little bit of body fat, but that is necessary. I now have regular cycles. I'm now far more supported in my life and relationally with girlfriends, with my family. I've been able to be present with them. I really didn't allow myself to eat intuitively, and now I've definitely gotten a taste of that and have been experimenting more with that. Still am eating quite intuitively now. And I'm just enjoying being in the gym. You know, I think that we all love being in the gym as athletes and as competitors or even lifestyle athletes. But when you take it to that next level for so long, there are aspects of it that really do become very regimented. And I'm enjoying just the freedom of having a little bit less of a regimented nature that's mandated of me, and discovering what types of regimentation I need in order to be successful and where I can maybe loosen the reins a little bit. And I really do believe that when I do prep again and prepare for the Olympia, I'm going to be just so different. The prep is going to be so different because I've given my body a true break, which is certainly nowhere near over yet. I'm in a different spot relationally. I'm finally fulfilled in that area of my life because there's certain holes that, you know, competing just can't fill. And now I'm having those filled and having those needs met, and it feels really, really good. So all in all, I'd say that I am in a much better place. Another question that I was asked is, what are my macros? And I actually tracked super meticulously to the T the other day, and I wound up somewhere along the lines of 145 protein, 215 carbs, and 67 fat. So just over 2,000 calories. Now that was eating more intuitively. My macros are set around that. They're at like 140 protein, 65 to 70 fat, and 200 to 225 carb right now. So giving me some room for flexibility. And then I also have 2 untracked meals per week. These are completely untracked. I'm not typically, in the past, when I've taken an untracked meal, I've really modified the other meals that I've had throughout the day. And this time I'm really not. I'm kind of just eating what I need to eat to support my body throughout the day, not necessarily eating significantly less or different choices of foods, and then doing those untracked meals. So it's probably putting me into a decent surplus. I would say on average, I'm getting in between 2,000 to 2,200 calories a day. And this question literally is why I do what I do and means so much to me. And this was how to get your hormones back in balance after a show without decreasing intensity. And or not intensity, but activity, because I know that after a show, right, like all of us still want to stay tight. Naturopathic doctors tell you, like, you got to start doing yoga, you got to start eating fat. And that's true. You need fats. Fats are the building blocks of hormones. So step number 1 is you've got to lower the volume of your training. That was my foot. You grody. You can do, if you're doing like a 6-day-a-week training split, go 4 days. You can still train hard, just cut the volume down a little bit, okay? Step 2, You got to eat into a caloric surplus. I know that you can't immediately get your macros up, but y'all coaches that I just talk like I didn't know grammar, but your coaches that keep your fats below 40 are doing you such a disservice. I worked with a coach for 5 years that kept my fats consistently below 40. I do not suggest this. You want to bring your fats up above 40 grams, particularly like 65, 70 as soon as possible to help get those hormones rebalanced. The other thing that's really important is that during this period where you're working to balance out your hormones, you're limiting the intake of processed foods, okay? Whole, nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory, Mediterranean-based foods. Supplements are helpful. Supplements like Vitex or chaseberry, supplements like evening primrose oil. These really help your body to produce natural hormones again. But you want to take those under the direction of a functional practitioner, particularly an FNTP or someone who's an NP who knows what they're doing. You don't want to be doing that just with any old coach because they probably took a 30-minute course or a few hour course and got notes on how to give somebody these supplements that can really screw them up. Last but not least, something that I did that really helped me was seed cycling. So whether you are a cycling female or not, you can seed cycle. So basically on days 1 through 14 of your cycle, from your follicular phase up to ovulation, you can also do this according to the moon. So from the new moon to the full moon, days 1 through 15 then, you are going to cycle pumpkin seeds and flax seeds. You'll do a tablespoon of both every single day. This is going to help support estrogen production and estrogen balance, all right? Then once ovulation hits or the new moon hits, so on day 14 or day 15, then until day 30 or day 28 of a normal cycle, then you would cycle sesame seeds and we did flax and pumpkin, sesame seeds and sunflower seeds. A tablespoon of each of those. And sesame seeds in particular are going to help support estrogen levels, manage your estrogen levels because those can start to rise. And then the sunflower seeds are going to help support progesterone production. So seed cycling can be extremely beneficial. I had to look at my notes on those. But seed cycling, particular supplements, honestly, lowering your overall allostatic load. If you're a high stress person, it can help to integrate some meditation or yoga. For me, I can't meditate, but I do love a good walking meditation. And then of course, at about 8 weeks post-show, I always suggest running a panel. If you guys are interested in lab reviews too, I'm not trying to shamelessly plug myself this whole video, but I can order labs. I do lab reviews for our athletes and for patients all the time. So let me know if this is something that you're interested in. Once again, it's booked through the Calendly link linked below. And then the last but not least question that I got asked, I actually did a little secret answer for her over on my Instagram page. So this question was asked on my Instagram and I provided a very, very detailed explanation to this particular athlete, but I'm a geek when it comes to exercise programming. Hormones, yes. Exercise programming, also yes. And as I'm doing my own exercise programming right now, this is something that I have researched in depth. So I am very passionate about this subject. And that is what is better for training in general in a prep versus like in an off season. High volume training where you're doing a ton of exercises and reps. So like 8 to 10 exercises, and this particular athlete had said 4 sets of like 10 to 12 reps, or low volume training where you're doing like 6 exercises and 6 to 8 reps, 4 sets of each. The answer is it depends, right? In a prep, it can be a lot easier to actually do higher volume training because your body isn't equipped to really train until failure. So you can get more of a pump with lighter weights and higher volume. Likewise, if you're noticing that your CNS, your central nervous system, is getting really taxed in those movements, it may be better to alternate more to a lower volume style of training if you can keep the intensity up through your strength and the weights that you're moving. Now, conversely, if in an off season you have a lot of food, you may be able to you may be able to grow on a higher volume training split. I know right now I'm preferring more higher volume training, but I periodize that. So I'll do like 8 to 10 weeks of higher volume training, maybe with some plyometric movements, like some box jumps and long jumps and tuck jumps. And then I'll move over to a lower volume, but higher intensity split where I'm doing more training until metabolic failure. And I'm really creating that metabolic tension at the muscular site and causing more damage, hence growing. But the answer is it really depends. Personal preference is I prefer to do more higher volume training in a prep because I really can't train to failure. I'm not working in PRs. And then in an off season for most athletes, I'm saying more lower rep, higher weight style training because it's fun. It's fun when you've got a lot of food and you can really push until failure. But I do think that from a cardiovascular standpoint, it is helpful to periodize training programs with higher volume training in an off season just to keep your output nice and high. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this style of video. I know I was kind of all over the place, getting my steps in, walking back and forth in my kitchen, but I really enjoyed answering some of your questions and hopefully connecting with all of you guys. If you guys have comments, questions, you can always drop them down below or head over to my Instagram page at Madsmichiefitness, and I would be eager, over the moon, ecstatic to answer any of your questions or provide comments or feedback on the things that I said in this video. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Sometimes it's tough to produce content in an off season that resonates, but these videos are so fun for me to make and I love creating content for you guys. And I hope to see you back here next week. Take care of yourselves and be kind to one another.